child say something that made your heart stop cold? If you're a parent in your 60s, 70s, or even 80s, you've likely had moments where words from your son or daughter hit deeper than you'd expected. Some things they say come from love, but others, they come from a place of disrespect, distance, or even hidden resentment. And those are the words you should never ignore. This video is for you if you've ever walked away from a conversation with your child feeling confused, hurt, or like something just wasn't right. Today, we're going to walk through 5 powerful phrases that if you ever hear them from your children, you should take so seriously that walking away might be the wisest, strongest thing you can do. These aren't just careless remarks. They're signs of emotional boundaries being crossed, of roles reversed in a way that leaves you feeling small or dismissed. You've given so much of yourself as a parent. It's not too much to expect some basic human decency in return. And once you recognize these warning signs, you can stand up for yourself with quiet strength, knowing that your time, your energy, and your love are all things that deserve to be treated with care. Stay with us until the end, because the final phrase may not be what you expect, and it could be the most dangerous one of all. Now let's begin. Number 1, you owe me. There's a chilling heaviness behind the words. You owe me when they come from your own child. On the surface, it might sound like a harmless comment, maybe even a joke. But when you've spent decades raising someone, giving them your time, money, energy, and love, those 3 words cut deep. And they don't belong in a healthy parent-child relationship. You owe me flips everything upside down. It implies that your worth is now measured by how much more you can give. It disregards the years of diapers you changed, school lunches you packed, sleepless nights you endured. It ignores the sacrifices you made quietly, without ever asking for recognition. Instead, it puts you in the role of a debtor, as if all that parenting was just an advance payment on some future obligation. Now, some children say this out of frustration or in the heat of a moment. Maybe they're struggling financially or emotionally, and they want someone to blame. But when this phrase shows up regularly, with guilt behind it, it's not just frustration, it's manipulation. As we get older, many of us naturally want to help our children. That's part of who we are as parents. But there's a difference between offering help out of love and being guilted into giving because someone believes they're entitled to it. That's not generosity. That's coercion. If your son or daughter says, "You owe me," you must ask yourself, what exactly do I owe? Do I owe my retirement savings, my home, my peace, or do I owe it to myself to be treated with respect? One man I spoke to, a 78-year-old named George, shared a painful experience. After he downsized his home to live more simply, his son asked why he hadn't given him part of the proceeds. "You owe me," the son said. "You wouldn't have had that house if it weren't for me." George was stunned. For years, he'd helped his son, paid for college, helped with rent, even watched the grandchildren every week. But suddenly, none of that mattered. What mattered to his son was what else he could extract. That kind of mindset doesn't come out of nowhere. It's a slow buildup of expectations, often formed when children grow up seeing their parents as endless providers. But once you hit your 70s or 80s, it's time for those roles to evolve. You're not an open wallet. You're not a support system to be drained. You're a person with needs, limits, and dignity. If you ever hear the phrase, "You owe me," take a deep breath and ask yourself how often you've heard it before. Is it part of a pattern? Is it said with bitterness? Does it leave you feeling used or ashamed? Those are warning signs. And sometimes the best thing you can do in that moment is to walk away. Not with anger, not with spite, but with a calm, confident decision that your self-worth is not up for negotiation. You gave them life. You gave them everything you could. And love doesn't keep a ledger. Number 2, you wouldn't survive without me. Few phrases carry such a quiet sting as this one. You wouldn't survive without me might not be shouted. It might be whispered under someone's breath during an argument, said offhandedly. When you express a need or frustration, or even delivered with a half smile that pretends to be lighthearted. But no matter the tone, the message is the same. You are weak, dependent, and you owe your very existence to me now. When this comes from your own child, it can shake you to your core. You've spent most of your life being the strong one. You kept the roof overhead, made sure meals were on the table, comforted your family when things got hard. You were the foundation. So hearing your child say, or even suggest, that you're nothing without them feels like being erased. Like all those decades of sacrifice and stability no longer count. It's a statement that rewrites your story and positions them as the hero now, and you as the helpless bystander. Now let's be honest. Aging does change things. We all face moments where we need help, physical, emotional, or financial. But needing help doesn't mean you've lost your value. And it certainly doesn't mean someone else gets to use that as leverage to control or belittle you. This phrase often comes up in subtle power struggles. Perhaps you live with your adult child, or they help manage your finances or assist with transportation. That kind of support can be generous and loving when given with respect. But when that support is weaponized, when it's used to make you feel powerless or small, that's no longer care. That's control. I once heard the story of Linda, a 74-year-old widow living with her daughter. At first, it was a mutually helpful arrangement. Linda helped with the grandkids. The daughter helped with appointments and bills. But over time, things shifted. Her daughter began speaking for her at the doctor's office without asking. She started managing Linda's mail, sometimes withholding letters. And eventually, during an argument about a canceled social event, she snapped, "You wouldn't last a month on your own?" Linda didn't respond. She just stood there stunned. All the years of being a reliable mother, the backbone of her family, suddenly reduced to a burden in the eyes of the very person she'd raised. That kind of dynamic can sneak up on you. It starts small, with minor decisions being made without your input. Over time, it becomes normal. And then one day you hear those 7 words, "You wouldn't survive without me." You are not a burden. You are not disposable. You are not someone to be pitied or controlled. If someone is helping you, that help should come from love, not from a place of superiority or control. And if your child forgets that, it's your right to remind them, or if necessary, to remove yourself from the situation, until respect can be restored. Because surviving is one thing, but living with dignity, that's non-negotiable. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 3, you're being dramatic. When your child looks at you and says, "You're being dramatic," it may seem like a small comment, something tossed out in the middle of a tense moment. But make no mistake, this phrase carries a dismissive power that cuts deep, especially when it's aimed at an older adult trying to express honest feelings. At its core, your being dramatic is a form of emotional invalidation. It sends the message that your concerns, your emotions, your lived experience, none of it is worth taking seriously. It shuts the door on real conversation. And over time, when heard often enough, it can convince you to keep your thoughts to yourself. Think about it. You've lived through decades of life. You've seen hardship, joy, grief, success, and disappointment. You've endured long before your child was even born. So when you voice a concern, whether it's about your health, your financial security, or even a disagreement over family matters, it deserves attention, not eye rolls. This phrase often shows up when adult children are uncomfortable with vulnerability. If you're scared about a medical diagnosis and you share that fear, hearing, "You're being dramatic," is a way for them to avoid facing the weight of that reality. If you express disappointment over how you've been treated or left out, they might say it to avoid accountability. It's easier to call someone dramatic than to deal with the discomfort of truth. But here's the thing, your emotions are not too much. They are human. And at this stage in life, you've earned the right to express how you feel without being mocked, minimized, or silenced. I remember a gentleman named Earl, 81 years old, who lived alone after losing his wife. He told his daughter that the holidays had been hard on him, that he felt the house was too quiet, too empty. Her reply, "Dad, you're just being dramatic. It's not that bad." That moment stayed with him. He didn't say anything after that. The next time he felt lonely, he kept it to himself. And eventually that silence turned into emotional isolation, a sense that nobody really wanted to hear what was going on inside. The damage that one sentence can do is often invisible at first, but it builds. It teaches you to second-guess your instincts. It trains you to question whether your hurt is even real. And slowly it chips away at your sense of self. If your child regularly tells you you're being dramatic, especially when you try to express pain, boundaries, or disappointment, take notice. That's not just a one-time comment. That's a pattern of disrespect. And anyone, child or not, who tries to shrink those down with careless words needs to understand that you're not here to be dismissed. You've lived too much and loved too deeply to be reduced to a punchline. Stand firm, keep your voice, and know that the way you feel is not an overreaction. It's a sign you're still very much alive, aware, and deserving of respect. Number 4, that's not how things work anymore. It might sound like a simple statement, maybe even factual, but when your child says, "That's not how things work anymore," and it's used to brush off your thoughts, your principles, or your way of doing things, what they're really saying is this: your knowledge, your values, and your experience no longer matter. And that is a dangerous message. This phrase often comes up in conversations where values clash. Maybe you're talking about saving money, raising children, how people treat elders, or the importance of respect. And instead of being met with curiosity or dialogue, you're told that's just not how things work anymore. End of discussion. What this does is push you into a corner. It paints you as outdated, out of touch, or behind the times, when in reality, you're offering wisdom earned through decades of real-life experience. Let's be clear, yes, the world has changed. Technology, culture, communication, all of it has evolved. But the core values you carry, honesty, patience, resilience, responsibility, those things never go out of style. And just because the world moves fast doesn't mean you're wrong to hold on to what has worked for generations. When your child dismisses your perspective with, "That's not how things work anymore," they're not just disagreeing, they're closing the door on understanding. They're signaling that their way is the only valid way and that your input belongs in the past. I heard from a woman named Carol, 76 years old, who tried to share her thoughts with her adult son about how to discipline his own kids. She wasn't lecturing, just offering a gentle idea about patience and structure. But his reply, "Mom, that's not how things work anymore." That sentence shut her down. It left her feeling like she had no role left to play in the family. Like her experience as a mother, grandmother, and wife no longer had value. And once someone starts feeling irrelevant, the distance between them and their loved ones grows fast. You don't have to agree on everything, but you do deserve to be heard. You deserve to be part of the conversation. You deserve to have your values respected, even if others choose to do things differently. When someone tells you that's not how things work anymore, take a moment and reflect. Are they using it to invite a thoughtful discussion? Or are they using it to end the conversation, to assert dominance, to silence your voice? If it's the latter, it may be time to walk away from that moment, not forever, not with bitterness, but with clarity. Clarity that your voice doesn't need permission to exist. It's valid even if it's not trendy. It's wise even if it's not modern. And it's powerful even if it doesn't fit neatly into someone else's worldview. Walking away doesn't mean giving up. It means choosing peace over a fight you didn't start. It means reclaiming your sense of self when others try to shrink it. Because your way of thinking might be old-fashioned, but sometimes old-fashioned is exactly what the world still needs. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 5, why are you still living there? This might seem like a simple question. Maybe your child says it casually over coffee, or maybe it comes up during a holiday visit. But don't overlook the message buried beneath those words. Why are you still living there? Can sound like concern on the surface, but it can also carry a heavy load of judgment, pressure, and even an attempt to control your choices. For many older adults, their home is more than just a roof over their head. It holds memories. It's the place where you raised your family, celebrated birthdays, grieved losses, and built your life. The walls, the kitchen table, the backyard, all of it holds meaning. So when your child asks this question in a way that makes you feel foolish or stubborn for staying, it can feel like they're trying to erase that meaning. And sometimes that's exactly what's happening. Let's be real. Not all children who ask this question are coming from a bad place. Some are genuinely worried. They may want to make sure you're safe, not isolated, or not overextending yourself. But when this question becomes persistent, or it's asked with impatience or disdain, it's often more about their convenience than your well-being. I heard from Robert, a 79-year-old widower who still lived in the family home he'd shared with his late wife. His son kept asking, "Why are you still living there?" At first, Robert thought it was just curiosity. But over time, the question came with suggestions to sell the house, move in with family, or transfer ownership. It became clear the son wasn't just worried, he was angling for something else. This is where the line between support and pressure gets blurred. You might find that your children want you to move for their benefit, not yours. Maybe they think managing your property is too much hassle. Maybe they want to sell it and split the profit. Or maybe they don't want to deal with it later and would rather take control now. But here's the truth. You don't owe anyone an explanation for where you choose to live, especially if that place brings you peace, dignity, and comfort. You are not a burden for wanting to stay in the home you love. You are not being unreasonable because you prefer familiar surroundings. And you are not obligated to uproot your life just because someone else thinks it would be more practical. If your child continues to press the issue and it starts to feel like manipulation instead of love, listen to your gut. If their words make you feel ashamed, unsettled, or pushed into something you don't want, you have every right to say no. You have every right to walk away from the conversation until they can come back with respect. It's your life, and no one has the right to rewrite it without your say. You built your home. You filled it with memories. You decide when and if you leave it, not because someone else told you to, but because you're ready on your terms. That's what true independence looks like, and no one has the right to take it from you. Final thoughts. Let's take a moment to reflect on what we've just uncovered. You've heard 5 powerful phrases that may seem small at first, but when they come from your own children, they can carry the weight of 1,000 unspoken judgments. Each one, "You owe me," "You wouldn't survive without me," "You're being dramatic." That's not how things work anymore. And why are you still living there? Has the potential to chip away at your confidence, your autonomy, and your sense of worth. But here's the truth. You must hold on to your life experience matters. Your presence matters. And most importantly, your boundaries matter. There's no shame in expecting to be treated with kindness and respect, especially from your own children. Walking away doesn't mean closing the door on love or connection. It means refusing to tolerate words or behaviors that leave you feeling small, silenced, or erased. It's a way of protecting your spirit, your dignity, and your peace. You've spent a lifetime building relationships, giving to others, and being a steady force in your family. That legacy doesn't disappear just because someone forgets it. It remains in the strength you carry today and the choices you make going forward. So if any of these phrases sound familiar, don't ignore that feeling in your gut. Trust it. Use it to stand taller, speak more clearly, and take space when you need it. You deserve to be heard, seen, and valued, not only for who you were in the past, but for who you are right now. And if you're feeling alone in this, please know you're not. So many others have felt the sting of words like these. That's why we're having this conversation today, to shine a light on what too often gets brushed aside, and to remind you that you're not imagining things. What you feel is real, and you have every right to honor that. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.